Kunja Bihari. Welcome everyone. If any devotees can turn on their videos, please feel free. Otherwise, we are always on calls with video off. Okay. Welcome. Also, today we are going to discuss from the fourth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 16. We'll do a quick recap and we'll directly get into the shlokas shortly. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Nashtaprayeshu Abhatreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Mukam Karoti Vajalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yatkrapa Tamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarnam Paramanandam Shri Chaitanya Shlokanam. Okay, Hare Krishna. So let's quickly start with the screen share here. We are discussing the story of King Prithu, right? So we saw when King Vena was ruling. So this was from the descendants of Dhruva Maharaj. When King Vena was ruling, he was very atrocious. So he was cursed by the Brahmanas and in fact killed by them. And when the king was lost, they realized that the thieves and the rogues became very active because if there's no proper ruler, in this case there was no ruler, then obviously the kingdom fails. So what they did, the Brahmanas churned the body of Vena and brought in Prithu and Mother Archi. So by the churning process. So that's what we saw in the previous chapter, chapter 15. I think it was by Vidurmata Prabhu. He explained very nicely about appearance of King Prithu and how King Prithu was coronated to become the king. Right? So Prithu Maharaj, we spoke about how he's a Shakti Avesh avatar. He was an expanded incarnation of the Supreme Lord. And once he was born, the various demigods, the various sages, personalities appeared there and they gave him various presents in his coronation ceremony. So by then, we have like his appearance had this reason that there was not proper cultivation. The earth was not producing enough food for people to live. People were always scared because of the rogues, thieves attacked by others. So the situation was very, very bad. And he appeared. And then by the end of the 15th chapter, we saw that there were bards or the poets who were glorifying the king. They are speaking of various glorification to the king. And the king chastised them very sweetly. In fact, it is mentioned that he was smiling, but he chastised them at the end of the chapter, saying that I have not yet achieved anything. So I am not eligible for all the glorification that you people are giving. So that's where we stopped. And today we will continue. We will see how the king is praised by these reciters. What we will do is probably look at the summary. Let me just pull that up. So this is the 16th chapter. It's a small chapter. In fact, it's more to do with the different professional reciters. What we will learn in today's chapter is how an ideal king or ideal leader should be. And we also will learn what are our roles and responsibilities when we see or hear about the ideal leader. Okay, that's what we'll probably do a takeaway from. So these professional reciters or these poets authorized by the sages are continuing to glorify the king or continuing to glorify Prithu Maharaj in this case. Okay, so why did they continue to glorify despite the king lovingly chastising them? Because the king's humility or the Lord's humility in this case was very nicely displayed. Right, so that's why they continue to glorify, and they spoke about the various qualities of the king. We will see that they actually link it, the qualities of the king with various demigods. We'll actually look at it from Shubodhini. There's a nice table there which will cover close to 10-15 shlokas in this. And lastly, they will also tell what are coming up in the next chapters, the further chapters of what are King Prithu's activities. So they will actually speak about this. They are predicting in this case, but like we know from Guru Sadhu Shastra that they already know the answers. Okay, that's what we'll actually be looking at. We will use Shubodhini for some time today. So by the way, we will jump to our 16th chapter. Okay, so this chapter is called Praise of King Prithu by the professional reciters. Text 1. Maitreya Vacha Iti Bhruvanam Nripatim Gayaka Muni Choditaha Tushtu Tushtu Vastushta Manasas Tadvag Amrita Sevaya. Translations and purports by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. The great sage Maitreya continued. While King Prithu spoke, the humility of his nectarian speeches pleased the reciters very much. Then again, they continued to praise the king highly with exalted prayers, as they have been instructed by the great sages. Purport. Here the word Munichoditaha indicates instructions received from great sages and saintly persons. Although Maharaj Prithu was simply enthroned on the royal seat and was not at that time exhibiting his godly powers, the reciters like Suta, the Magadha, and Vandi understood that King Prithu was an incarnation of God. They could understand this by the instructions given by the great sages and learned Brahmanas. We have to understand the incarnation of God by the instructions of authorized persons. We cannot manufacture a God by our own concoctions. As stated by Narottam Das Thakura, Sadhu, Shastra, Guru, one has to test all spiritual masters according to the instructions of saintly persons, scriptures, and spiritual master. The spiritual master is one who follows the instructions of his predecessors, namely the sadhus or saintly persons. A bona fide spiritual master does not mention anything not mentioned in the authorized scriptures. Ordinary persons have to follow the instructions of Sadhu, Shastra, and Guru. Those statements made in the Shastras and those made by the bona fide Sadhu or Guru cannot differ from one another. Reciters like the Suta and Magadha were confidentially aware that King Prithu was an incarnation of the personality of Godhead, although the king denied such praise because he was not at that time exhibiting his godly qualities. The reciters did not stop praising him. Rather, they were very pleased with the king, who, although actually an incarnation of God, was so humble and delightful in his dealings with devotees. In this connection, we may note that previously it was mentioned that King Prithu was smiling and was in a pleasant mood while speaking to the reciters. Thus, we have to learn from the Lord or his incarnation how to become gentle and humble. The king's behavior was very pleasing to the reciters, and consequently, the reciters continued their praise and even foretold the king's future activities, as they have been instructed by the sadhus and sages. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manovishtam Stapitamena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shriyata Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha. हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी ऋषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यः च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमः ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Okay, Hare Krishna. So, starting itself, there's a lot of details here. So, we just mentioned how King Prithu had told the poets not to glorify him because he had not yet done anything worth being glorified. But then, knowing about him, knowing about his activities to come from the authorized scriptures. So, Srila Prabhupada mentions this Muni Choditaha, the words spoken by the Munis, are the instructions given by the great sages, or the information given by the authorized personalities. Based on that, they understood that the king was worthy of all the praise. Also, it is mentioned how the king was very gentle and humble, right? So these words are very sweet words, right? So gentle and humble in his dealings, and that's, we are talking about the Supreme Lord here. So what we need to understand is how a leader behaves, right? So all of us are in some form or other leaders. All of us, we might be we might be those people who are influencing someone with our qualities. It could be our own children, our own family, friends. It could be people at office. Leader doesn't mean that you have a designation that I'm the president of the temple or I am the GBC. Not necessarily. You We are all like mini Ishwaras. We have heard that so many times. Like, we may not be the big Ishwaras, but we are also are leaders, and in this leadership the responsibilities are more than what is our benefit, or what are our glorifications of being that leader. It's a responsible position, and being humble is extremely important. Even as we go higher, being more humble is very, very important. In this connection, I'll probably start with a small, very small pastime of Srila Prabhupada. So in the very beginning of this moment, in the late 60s or early 70s, Srila Prabhupada was in one of the temples. I don't remember the name. So he had gone there to install the deities. He was actually inaugurating the temple, and most of them were new, and everyone was rushing around, doing different things to get the temple ready in time for the uh, event. And this was in the morning, so Srila Prabhupada was there, and Srila Prabhupada was saying, "This is not done, that is not done." I mean, he was giving so many instructions, and they were trying to follow. He was not very happy, and he had asked them for um, suddenly it lost my name. Pushpana. He had asked them for Pushpana, and Pushpana is the sweet rice, the variety. Right, so he had asked for it, and they actually got some flowers. And Srila Prabhupada was very angry, very white. And he actually scolded them. And when he scolded, there was a very new boy who had just come to the temple a few days back. And he comes up to Srila Prabhupada, and he tells Swamiji, I've heard that when things are not working in your favor, you can actually chant the Hare Krishna mantra. It is very good. And Srila Prabhupada was there. So many people were around, and Srila Prabhupada just sat down, took out his beads, and started chanting. Here is our founder Acharya. Here is the person who is actually heading the whole piece. And there's a newcomer. He's telling him, why don't you chant so that your current situation can be cured? And Srila Prabhupada actually does that. And there is no bigger example of someone listening to a junior, someone listening to a subordinate, someone being very humble when an instruction is given to them. He could have chastised him easily, that would have been typical. But look at what Srila Prabhupada does. Right? So it's an instruction that we directly get from Srila Prabhupada, saying that if the things are not going in our favor, especially when we are trying to organize something, then being humble is a very, very big quality. And by leading with this example, we come down to this Narottam Das Thakura's most famous instruction or favorite instruction that all of us have is listening to Guru Sadhu Shastra, right? Whatever instructions that we get, we have to cross check, cross validate it, that is it coming from an authorized source. And what are our authorities? Our authorities are Guru, Sadhus in the Shastra. And it means bona fide Shastras. Srila Prabhupada very simply mentions, read Bhagavad Gita as it is, right? So even to going to an extent saying that Srila Prabhupada, someone came and said that Bhaktivinoda Thakura is my most favorite author. This was Srila Prabhupada disciple. Very early in the moment he comes to Srila Prabhupada says, I like Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He's my most favorite writer, the Gaudiya Parampara, obviously English writings. Not many people had done it. So Srila Prabhupada looks at him. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is your second most favorite writer. You will have to take instructions from Srila Prabhupada's books. Right. So Srila Prabhupada has told it many, many times, saying that my books has everything that is needed for your spiritual life to be successful. You do not need to refer anything else. That is our Shastra. That is our authorized Shastras. And why are we saying this? Not just because Srila Prabhupada told, because Srila Prabhupada referred to all the commentaries that are there, that are bona fide from our parampara, and he's compiled it for us and he's made it so practical and so easy. So the entire sadhus are covered there. The entire Shastra is covered just by reading Srila Prabhupada's books. If you have not yet finished it, here is a nice opportunity. Prabhupada Vyas Puja is coming a few months away. So start finishing up Srila Prabhupada books. And lastly, Guru. Instructions of the spiritual master. Okay. Bona fide spiritual master. In fact, we read in the purport that we have to test the spiritual master before we accept that this person is authorized, this person is actually following. Once we have accepted, there is no turning back. Okay, it's a huge offense if you actually disobey the orders of the spiritual master. I'm spending time on this because there's so much instruction in this place. In fact, there are times where you write something to your spiritual master, especially if you're initiated. There is really no reason that you would disobey the orders of the spiritual master. In fact, uh, there was a recent program that we had attended, and the speaker was talking about how the guru gives you instructions, and sometimes there are direct instructions that you get, and you have to follow. You want to get clarity, go talk to the guru humbly. Tadviti pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. Do your seva, do your pariprashna, be very humble, but follow the instructions of the guru. Right. So many times people tell that, oh, actually, you know what, I have written this letter to guru asking for this direction. Can I buy this? Can I do this? Can I go here? Can I eat this? And the guru has not replied back or not given me an instruction. Okay, what should I do? The answer is very, very simple. If the guru gives you an order, you have to follow. Sometimes the spiritual masters are so merciful that they don't give you an instruction because they are worried of you, that if you don't follow, you will actually fall down. It's an offense. It becomes an aparad. So they don't give you a direct instruction saying that don't do it. What you're doing is wrong. But we need to understand Guru's mood and we should avoid doing things. And there are general instructions that the Guru gives. Even those general instructions are specific to each of us. For example, His Holiness Jayapatak Swami Guru Maharaj, my spiritual master, he very recently told a statement. I was just reading in the quotes. It said that, you know what, Srila Prabhupada has given us this place, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says all of us should preach. For my disciples, it is mandatory that they have to preach. For others, they have to preach. That was the instruction. So you are a disciple, you have to preach. This is a direct, straightforward responsibility that you have. Instruction given directly to you. It's not that, oh, it is told to someone. It's not very generic. No, specific. So sadhu, shastra, and guru, these become very, very important. So these poets who are reciting sadhu shastra and guru are non-different, right? So instruction does not, there is no conflict of instruction when it comes to from guru sadhu shastra. If you do not understand it, is because you need clarity. Even within shastras, you might see that, okay, there is an instruction here that is a little different from an instruction there. Somewhere that it is said that, okay, you know what, you do DT service very nicely, then your door to back to Godhead is clear. Somewhere it says that, okay, you know what, just by Shravanam and Kirtanam, your life is successful. Yes, you should know time, place, circumstance. You need to understand this. If you need clarity, go talk to senior Vaishnavas. Lastly, on this point, I would like to end by saying that each of us should have a person we can go and talk to. You should have a counselor. You cannot say that, okay, you know what, my spiritual master has got 10,000 disciples, 50,000 disciples, I'm not getting instructions. Talk to the counselors, talk to your Shiksha gurus, talk to your well-wishers, senior devotees, Vaishnavas. You need to have someone you can go to and talk to. Okay, these are the instructions that we need to understand. Now, looking at from a leader perspective, we just spoke about how the leader has to be very humble and very gentle. And when they are not very happy, they have to talk to them, but in a very pleasant mood, right? So with smilingly, in a pleasant mode. Here, Prithu Maharaj in the previous chapter, I think Vidura Prabhu might have covered this. I'm sorry, I did not finish that entire class of his, but a very pleasant mode. He's actually chastising them, saying that you people are wrong, you people are stupid. But he's telling it so nicely that they are not offended. Rather, they want to continue doing it in a better way and take the instructions of Guru Sadhu Shastra, right? So, your instruction as a leader, whatever small leader that we all have to play in our day to day duties, we have to give those instructions very nicely, very lovingly, very smilingly. And if things don't work out, you have to be humble and gentle as well, right? So, these are the things that we learn from the first shloka. Okay, there's as usual, Prabhupada has a lot of details. So and leave it to each of you. Please read through the purports again. We'll continue. Now the reciters have started glorifying, and the rest of it continues that way. The reciters continued, Dear King, you are a direct incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, and by his causeless mercy, you have descended to this earth. Therefore, it is not possible for us to actually glorify your exalted activities. Although you have appeared through the body of King Vena, even great orators and speakers like Lord Brahma and other demigods cannot exactly describe the glorious activities of your lordship. Right? Who can glorify the Lord? We can glorify, we should glorify the Lord, but can glorify only to the limited extent that we have. And just a few generations back was Dhruv Maharaj here, and Dhruv Maharaj struggled to glorify the Lord, and the Lord actually put the Shanka on top of his head, and then he could start glorifying the Lord. We similarly have Anantashesh. We similarly have, there was one devotee of the Supreme Lord who actually um, was actually reciting or glorifying the Lord. Uh, don't remember the entire past name, but they said that, okay, can you glorify all the qualities of the Lord? So he replied back, give me 1,000 mouths, then I will tell you. So Tatastu. Okay, now you get 1,000 mouths. Now start glorifying. And now he replies, you know what? The Lord's qualities are so innumerable that I cannot glorify all the qualities of the Lord. Array, so the Lord asks, Array, you could have told this with one mouth. Why did you need 1,000 mouths for this? And the devotee replies back, actually, to tell you that I cannot glorify all your qualities, I need 1,000 mouths because there are so many qualities that you have. What can I do with one mouth? So all of us have one little mouth, which talks a lot unnecessarily. So use this to actually glorify the Lord. Okay. If you don't know what to glorify the devotees of the Lord. Right. So Vyas Puja offerings to our spiritual masters. In fact, on the 8th of April is my spiritual master's appearance day, Vyas Puja. So it is mandatory for a disciple to write Vyas Puja offering. That is our way of glorifying. It is very, 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 very important, right? And if you are not yet initiated, then Srila Prabhupada's Vyas Puja is coming. Glorify Srila Prabhupada. It is mandatory. It's not optional, right? So devotees who have taken shelter, devotees who have taken aspiring, and devotees who have initiated Diksha and above, all of them have to mandatorily write Vyas Puja offering. This is how we can glorify and to whatever is our possibility, right? So here again, the Lord, the reciters are talking about how they cannot glorify enough, because even personalities like Lord Brahma, who has direct association with the Lord, here is Shakti Avesh Avatar, they have direct association with the Supreme Lord, and he cannot glorify enough. What can we? I mean, the most intelligent person in the universe, most intelligent living entity in the universe is Lord Brahma. He himself cannot glorify enough. So we should take Brahma Samhita seriously and start glorifying, of course. Now, spending another minute, by glorifying the Lord with exalted verses, one becomes purified. Although we are unable to offer prayers to the Lord in an adequate fashion, our duty is to make the attempt in order to purify ourselves. By glorifying the Lord or his devotees, you don't necessarily make their position higher. They are already in a very exalted position. It is only our purification. So many times you see wonderful devotees when they are introducing speaker, Maharaj, sannyasi on the Vyasas, and they would say, all of you know, when His Holiness Loknath Maharaj was here. So when the devotee was introducing him, we all know Loknath Maharaj. It is only for my purification that I'm trying to attempt to talk about. I'm giving an introduction to him. It is not words. It has to be our mood, right? So it is, at least do it with words in the beginning, but we should develop that mode that we need to glorify. Okay, it is not that we should stop our glorification because demigods like Lord Brahma and Shiva cannot adequately glorify, right? So we should also try to glorify to whatever extent we can. And like just mentioned, if you can't glorify the Lord, there are of course all these wonderful personalities that are there in front of us that we should look forward to glorifying. In fact, I was just writing down some notes for this particular piece, right? So, how should be our glorification? We should genuinely appreciate. There are always good qualities in each of them. Always look for those good qualities and learn or find out what is my scope to learn. In fact, there are so many wonderful stories. There was a time, I'd probably not talk about this pastime, but there was a pastime wherein Narad Muni visits Lord Narayan and says that, who is your best devotee? Who is your favorite devotee? You've heard this pastime many times, right? So where he has to carry a pot of oil around a well and come back, right? So you remember this pastime. If you don't remember, very nice pastime. Uh, try to figure out where it is. Anyway, so Narad Muni asked this question, and Narayan actually shows him a person on earth and all that. Now, Narad Muni follows this person for the next 3 days, not to see what mistakes he's doing or what are the activities he's doing. He's following this person to see what is it, what is it that I can learn from this person. Earlier, when we used to come to the temple on weekends only for Mangalarti, we used to come early, and there used to be a devotee that I used to watch, and this devotee would always fall asleep when he was chanting in the morning. More often than not, I would see him, and I was like, "Arey, why should you come and fall asleep? It's better you could wake up and chant properly." Right, so I've heard that falling asleep during chanting is actually not good and all that, right? So we have all heard that. And then I understood something. I heard about this person saying that, you know what, this person never misses a Mangalarti. This devotee comes to Mangalarti every day. I'm like, I'm a weekend devotee, comes on a Sunday morning or a Saturday morning for Mangalarti. This person comes every day, doesn't miss. That is a wonderful quality you learn. You're not you're not supposed to find that fault that he's sleeping or he's half asleep while he's sleeping or he's missing out words. There are qualities in each and every person that you can learn. And Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakura actually mentions this, right? So there were, you have heard of this pastime again, there were conflicts between some of his disciples. So each disciple would come to Bhakti Saraswati Thakur, अरे उसने ये कर दिया, ऐसे कर दिया, this person is not good, he doesn't do this, I had asked him to do this, he did not finish it, and so on. Right? So each person comes and has his own set of complaints. The other person comes, you know what, he told me, but he did not tell me how to do it, what to do. He just told me that you have to do, he did not. So they kept complaining. So Bhakti Saraswati called all of them and he told them that, okay, who is that one person that you have a complaint? Tomorrow, come back with one good quality of that person. And if you have complaint of 4 people, one good quality of each of these people. Go today, just come back with one good quality. And when they came back next day, then they spoke about the other person, saying that this person is a very nice kirtaniya, this person reads Shastras very nicely, philosophically strong, this person is a wonderful book distributor, whatever it is. When they started glorifying the qualities, their fault finding attitude, their issues that they had actually vanished. Again, one more lesson that we can learn. So, if you have a problem with it, we are in a material world, we have to understand that we are going to have conflicts all around. Right? So within ISKCON, we are all patients, we are getting treated. So each of us have different disease. Prabhupada has built this hospital. We need to understand I'm a patient, so is the other person. Maybe there is a nice part. Probably we will rush through a few more shlokas, so I'll probably mention this. So there's a nice part wherein it talks about how, King Prithu is like Mother Earth, very tolerant towards others. So we're reading Trinada Pisunichena Tarora Pisahishtuna. We should be Sahishtuna, tolerant like the tree, right? So we should be humble like the grass and the tolerant like the tree. I should be very, very tolerant. People can offend me, people can tell this about me, that about me. I should be very tolerant. Things may not go my way. I should be very tolerant. That was my understanding. Right. So about a month back, I was talking to a wonderful devotee from Sakanagar, His Grace Ramchandra Prabhu. He told on the same topic of tolerance we were discussing. And he told this nice point. He said, Prabhu, it's not that we have to be very tolerant. We also have to understand that there are all these people around us who are tolerating us. And that really stuck. I said, wow, this is such a wonderful point. Everyone around is tolerating all the nonsense that I'm doing. Can't I just tolerate a little bit? Right? So we need to understand each one of us are definitely having those qualities that are not very exalted, and people are tolerating us. The acharyas are tolerating us, our spiritual master is tolerating all the nonsense that we are doing despite taking vows and the commitments. So, what is it that we are tolerating? It's so many people who are tolerating us. Now we need to be more humble, in fact, shamefully humble, saying that, Are, what is humility? I'm not even qualified for it. This is such a wonderful point, such a nice point, right? The tolerance that we actually talk about. So please understand that people are tolerating us, each one of us. We might be in very nice situation, but we definitely are being tolerated by others. It's not that we are tolerating. Okay, so multiple points. Again, Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur example is there. Why? Because once you start glorifying others, even smallest of their qualities, right? So, and some of them doing very, very big work. It might look easy. For example, Sri Hari Prabhu running this Gita Gyan. It's not fun, right? So there's so much effort that he puts in, right? So each of us have to, at least take that effort and thank him whenever possible. Okay. In our prayers, he should definitely be offering to his spiritual master, but we should be telling that this is such a wonderful service that he's doing. We are able to hear the Bhagavad Gita every day, the Bhagavatam in multiple languages, and get an opportunity to chat with devotees, right? So that's the kind of effort. I mean, that's a big scale effort, not small scale effort. A devotee might be coming, giving a 15-minute class. A person might be setting up the Zoom, might be recording and posting the videos, might be sending out one shloka per day. They are all doing service. Each of these services are really wonderful. We should always have this attitude that there is this person, I need to identify the best of qualities and genuinely glorify. Right? So our glorification should not be by mouth, it should be genuinely coming from inside. We'll continue. Although we are unable to glorify you adequately, we nonetheless have a transcendental taste for glorifying your activities. We shall try to glorify you according to the instructions received from authoritative sages and scholars. Whatever we speak, however, is always inadequate and very insignificant. Dear King, because you are a direct incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all your activities are liberal and ever laudable. Okay. Now, there's a nice point here. In fact, there's a nice piece that was recently told by His Holiness Bhaktivinoda Maharaj in Guru Agna program. He spoke about the importance of reading Srila Prabhupada books. And this point came up there when I was reading this class for preparing, reading this chapter for preparing for this class. So this point came up there where I remembered what Bhaktivinoda Maharaj was saying. He said, reading Srila Prabhupada books gives us a taste for continuing to read Srila Prabhupada books, because we are hearing about those transcendental activities of the Lord, and Srila Prabhupada is directly giving it to us. Directly giving it to us. So this was a very important, very, very nice point that he said. There is this transcendental taste that you develop when you are actually speaking of the Lord, hearing of the Lord, reading Srila Prabhupada's books, right? And if you don't have that taste, continue to read. You will develop that taste. You'll develop that taste, is what I've also heard. That there are a lot of devotees who put their sadhana chart and make at least 30 minutes of reading every day, 1 hour of reading every day. There was an instruction directly in Srila Prabhupada's book that in Srimad Bhagavatam itself, in the 5th canto, you will see that it talks about something like 60 minutes each day you need to spend reading. Right. So I think recently someone had posted that. So we should read Srila Prabhupada's book every day so that we get this transcendental taste, and we will be able to glorify. Now coming back to these poets, so these poets are now saying that we are going to glorify you, and it's inadequate information that we might be giving out because we know that you are more exalted than what our knowledge can give, but we want to continue to praise you. Okay, now their glorification is starting. This king, Maharaj Prutu, is the best among those who are following religious principles. As such, he will engage everyone in the pursuit of religious principles and give those principles all protection. He will also be a great chastiser to the irreligious and atheistic. Srila Prabhupada, the purpose is it is the duty of the government head to see that people strictly follow a religious life. A king should also be strict in chastising the atheist. In other words, an atheist or godless government should never be supported by a king or a government chief or governmental chief. Right. So instruction to us as to choosing the right person in the government, right person to lead us, the right head of the society. Who is that person? This person is the one who actually follows religion, follows dharma, protects dharma, spreads dharma, and punishes adharma. Very clearly, that kind of person you will have to vote for. Okay. Again, difficult in Kali Yuga. So Srila Prabhupada actually mentions in the purport. However, in Kali Yuga, in Kali Yuga, democratic government can be captured by Krishna conscious people. If this can be done, the general populace can be made very happy. So Srila Prabhupada says currently, the secular government, in the name of secularism, they do all kinds of nonsense because they have to please all kind of people. So if I follow Krishna consciousness, if I follow Sanatana Dharma, then it is difficult for me to please or get my votes so that I will lose my election. So I don't want to do that. So what happens? Popularity is the reason for someone to get a leadership position and not quality. Repeating that. Popularity is the reason for someone to lead and not quality, which is the wrong understanding. It should be the other way around. The least popular person can have the best of qualities, and that person should be leading. Right. So this is where we have a problem in today's democratic, demon crazy, like Srila Prabhupada calls it. Right. So it is voted by those rogues and thieves for winning the elections of rogues and thieves. Okay, what they will do, their qualities anyway will come later. So in Kali Yuga, if you can get a Krishna conscious government, that would be the best. Most difficult, but it's not impossible. Considering that for we all have spoken about how next 10,000 years or the coming 10,000 years are going to be extremely favorable. So we might just be fortunate that you can in the coming generations, if not us, probably our coming generations can see a Krishna conscious government across the world. So for it. Okay, the king and the dharma we just spoke about. This king alone in his own body will be able in due course of time to maintain all living entities and keep them in pleasant condition by manifesting himself as different demigods to perform various departmental activities. Thus he will maintain the upper planetary system by inducing populace to perform Vedic sacrifices. In due course of time, he will also maintain this earthly planet by discharging proper rainfall. So, in the coming shlokas, we'll see about how various demigods' duty. So, we all know that demigods are nothing but the managerial representatives of the Supreme Lord, right? To ensure the heat and the light, there is Surya Dev. To ensure the water bodies is Varuna Dev, to ensure rain is Indra Dev, and so on, right? So, all these demigods are there for particular purposes. They are all the different limbs of the Supreme Lord, correct? They are all the managers, they are the different limbs of the Supreme Lord. And in due course of time, Maharaj Prutu will actually perform all these activities that are favorable for these demigods' duties to happen. How will he do it? We'll actually see it in the coming shlokas. And by this, what he does, the upper planetary systems and the earth, he takes care of everything through proper Vedic ritualistic activities, Vedic sacrifices, the yajnas and the homas. Why are the yajnas and the homas done? Basically, these are the food and the pleasing opportunity for the higher planetary demigods. So when he asks, induces, or he ensures that his people are performing the Vedic sacrifices properly, then the demigods are pleased, and then there is no scarcity. And that's how he will rule it. This is actually mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. We'll skip that shloka. As indicated herein, so by execution of proper yajna, right? So King Prutu alone would induce all the citizens to engage in such sacrificial activities so that there would not be scarcity or distress. In Kali Yuga, however, in the so-called secular state, the executive branch of the government is in charge of so-called kings and presidents who are all fools and rascals, ignorant of the intricacies of nature's causes and ignorant of the principles of sacrifice. Right? So we know this in Kali Yuga, all this is difficult. There is no bona fide or qualified person to conduct the yajna. There are no authorized mantras that they will be able to recite properly, and there are no ingredients that go into the yagna that are actually available without having all the adulteration. So what is the yagna that we need to follow? Simple Sankirtan yagna. That's what Srila Prabhupada mentions. Harer Nama, Harer Nama, Harer Nama eva kevalam. Kalau nasti eva, nasti eva, nasti eva gatir. Anyata, there is no other way, no other way, no other way. No karma, no jnana, no bhakta, no yagna, dhana, dhyana, right? So no karma, jnana, dhyana, only bhakti, na gatir anyata. It is just Harir Nama eva kevalam. Only the Harinam is the savior of all this in the Kali Yuga. Anyways, this is happening in the previous yugas. It is happening in the very first yuga. So this King Prutu will be as powerful as the sun god. Okay, the demigods details are going to come in here. And just as the sun god equally distributes his sunshine to everyone, King Prutu will distribute his mercy equally. Similarly, just as the sun god evaporates water for 8 months and during the rainy season returns it profusely, this king will also extract taxes from the citizens and return these monies in times of need. So what we will do is we'll actually jump to the Shubhodini, like I said, because we'll be able to cover the next 10 to 15 shlokas through Shubhodini. And we can do it very nicely because Shubhodini actually covers the different demigods parts here. And what is the demigod? What is the function that the demigod does, and what is King Prutu going to do? Right? So, like the sun evaporates the water, gives us the rain, and so on. King will also take taxes. King or the government is allowed to take taxes, provided they are able to take care of the welfare of the people. And you cannot be taxed for the same thing multiple times. I mean, that's a fallacy. There is the government's rule, the king's rule earlier, which La Prabhupada in one of the lecture mentions. The king would take 25% of your earning, full stop. 25% you give it to the king. There are no other taxes. There are no other service taxes. So if I go to a hotel, I'm eating something, then I pay taxes. I go to a ration, I'm paying taxes. And I'm earning income, I'm paying income tax also. So it is not you're multiple times taxed for the same thing or for different things, but for the same from the same money, right? So if I'm earning 10,000 rupees, I pay, let's say, 20% tax. So I have 8,000 rupees. In that 8,000 rupees, I'm not supposed to be taxed for anything. That's how the ideal government or the king should be. 25% tax on your income, flat. You earn 10,000 rupees, you earn 10 lakh rupees. Doesn't matter. And the remaining amount, 50% to Krishna service. That's what we should learn. Okay, anyways. So King Prithu would act like Surya. King Prithu would be very tolerant, like the Bhumi. We actually saw that, right? We should be very tolerant. So is the king. So is a leader. Out of his costless mercy, he is be forgetful and forgiving even to person who tramples over his head. It's not being nice to others that's a good quality. It's being nice to those people who are not nice to us. That shows our tolerance. We already discussed about tolerating others, tolerating us, not only we being tolerant. Okay. Next, moving on, Indra, like he supplies rain. So Prithu Maharaj story will come wherein he will supply rain when there's no rainfall and protect the season from drought. This will come in the coming chapters. In fact, in the next chapter, you will actually see this. So King Prithu could influence these demigods, right, to get it done because he was following the Vedic culture, the yagnas. Then next, it's the moon god Chandradev pleases the world with his cooling rays. Similarly, pleases the world with his affectionate glances and charming smile. As a king, as a leader, and of course as the supreme lord, he is very affectionate to everyone, not fake smiles. He is actually very affectionate. Like Varuna, he hides valuables, glorious and hides valuables. So, what are my plans? What are my activities? How do I, what is there in my treasury? Right? So, how much money I have? These are all confidential things from the government. It need not be made public because people cannot probably understand everything. Okay? Being transparent is important to people who are in responsible positions. And that's what an ideal leader or a king does. And similarly, like Vishnu, who is all glorious, Vishnu's incarnation, Pratumar, is having the greatness, the qualities, and the chief influence of Vishnu. Right? So he has all the right qualities and he is able to influence all the others. With what does Lord Vishnu's influence? He influences everything. And as powerful as Agni, he is unapproachable, unbearable, and unconquerable to his enemies. Right? So again, Prithu Maharaj will be someone who will not be defeated, is what they are predicting here. So we need to understand what is happening here. It's a prediction. How he even defeats Lord Indra is something that you will see in sometime. You'll probably see it in a few more classes, probably two, three more classes. Right. So he is unbearable to the enemies. So we should understand that Prithu Maharaj's purpose of coming was one of the purposes was people were not being sufficiently getting stuff which is solving above. Also, their rogues and thieves were actually become flourishing. So now, as soon as King Prithu took over, Prithu Maharaj took over, all these thieves and rascals hid themselves. It's a very nice example that was there in the previous chapter. Like Vayudev, he is all pervading, so his actions are being internally and externally through his spies. The king is allowed to have spies. Okay, so spies, your people who go and get information, so they will pass on the right message to the king. And he is neutral to praise and blasphemy. He doesn't take glorification, nor does he take the scoldings. That's again a good quality, a nice quality, to be undisturbed when someone is actually praising you or scolding. Right? Again, a very difficult quality to follow. If someone is praising me, wow, it's such a nice devotee. If someone is scolding you, Arey, that person is always like this. He keeps finding faults in everyone. Uska kya hai? Right? So that's automatic, typical. All of us do it. Being neutral, being non reactive is a big quality that we can learn. We already saw in the very beginning how he follows dharma, right? So he's situated in dharma, he follows dharma, he's impartial. Dharma is also a demigod personality. So he's impartial to people. Here in the shloka, actually, it mentions that if his own son is actually wrong, he will punish him. While if he's an enemy or an enemy's son, if he's innocent, he will be treating him properly. He will be not punishing, or he will not trouble that person. So he's impartial. And that's again a big quality for devotees. Favoritism can cause downfall to either us or the person that we are showing favoritism to, depending on your position. If you're a leader, you're showing favoritism to unqualified people because they're very nice to me, or because they actually praise me always, whatever, then it is not good for you, but it is very bad for them as well. And similarly, if you're getting praised or you're not getting rightly punished for your activities by your authorities, then the authority is not genuine towards you. Like I mentioned in the very beginning of this class, like about 40-45 minutes back, I said that you should have, a counselor or a shiksha guru or someone who can talk to openly, and that person, you give him the right to actually scold you, punish you openly. You should be ready, and your ego is got to get hurt. It's not easy, right? When we talk about devotee association, where you are able to open your mind to that person, open your heart to that person, it's not easy. Even to our own spouse, even to our own closest of friends, we hide those things that can actually show us in wrong light. Correct? All of us do. Most of us do. Right? So we should be actually open for that. Right? So as a leader, also as also a student as well. Right? So in both situations, we should understand what is that. And lastly, from the sun perspective, lastly from the demigods, it's the sun, unimpeded and never separated sunshine. Have unimpeded, never separated influence upon the Manasottara mountain. In fact, his ruling was so huge, so he could actually cover the universe. He was not just a ruler in some small town in on Earth, right? So he was actually ruling the major portion of the universe. Okay, so these are the different demigods. We will continue in the same fashion on the different qualities of Prithu Maharaj. Okay. This is also in the interest of time, and this is how the chapter goes. So this is easy for us to understand as well. What are his qualities? Some of the qualities that we can also learn. Activities very pleasing to mind of the citizens who gladly call him Raja. If you are a leader, people should be happy to accept you as a leader. Okay, that means you are not, you are actually doing things which are right. That's all. It's as simple as that. Vrataha, fixed in his post. Each of us are recognized, or when you are actually preaching, uh, you, or whatever activities that you're doing, you actually are showing yourself to others. If I sit at my home and while chanting I'm using my mobile phone, I come and turn on TV, watch IPL match, then my son will learn the same thing. My son, I'm going to tell him that, oh, you know what, Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. You need to follow Krishna full time, 24 hours a day. Satatam kirtayantomam, right? Kirtaniya Sadahari. I'll teach him everything, and then I'm sitting there and wasting my time on YouTube and wasting my time on, different games and gossips and newspapers. Then he will also become that kind of a devotee. I need to understand that. So being fixed in our course is not only good for us, it's good for others as well. In fact, His Grace Harilila Prabhu recently mentioned this. I think I love this point. He said many times for devotees, it is so become that philosophy is for preaching, life is for living. Repeat. Philosophy is for preaching, life is for living. Oh, they're wonderful philosophies. Give wonderful classes. Preaching to bindas karte, ye nahi karna hai, wo nahi karna hai, do's and the don'ts and all that. But when it comes to my own life, I have a life to live. philosophy तो सबको बोल दिया. No, it should be the other way around. Okay. So what is it? Philosophy is for living. Philosophy that we are learning, that we are preaching, is the way we need to live our life. I can't, I mean, many times I tell my wife this, right? So I can't sit in a Bhagavatam class or have a Bhakti Vriksha class in my house where I tell that, you know what, you should eat everything after offering it to Krishna. You should not eat food that is not offered to Krishna. Then 2 hours later, I'm standing in a Ganesh juice center and drinking a mango juice, mango milkshake, right? So my Bhakti Vriksha member sees me, what will they learn? So philosophy is for living our life, right? Philosophy is the way we need to live. And what is preaching supposed to be? Preaching should be our lifestyle. Life is meant for preaching. Philosophy for living, life is for preaching. That's what we need to do. We'll continue. Satya, Sandaha, true to his promise, keep up your promises, especially the commitments that you have taken during your initiation, commitments that we usually take during Gaurabda, saying that this year I will try to finish Prabhupada books, this year I will try to write proper glorification, this year I will try to do my Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav. You might have taken your commitments. If you have not, then unfortunate. I think about a month back, I was asked to give a class and I told Gaurabda is coming, so plan for your New Year resolutions in Krishna conscious way, because I heard it from my Guru Maharaj. So if you have not taken a commitment, you still have time. You always have time. So please do, and of course, respectful to the you keep up the promise. Next one, respectful to the Brahmanas, rendering service to the elders, wonderful qualities. Okay. We see many devotees. We learn from them how they wonderfully respect the senior Vaishnavas, the elders who come to the temple. It might be a very old person. That person may not be senior to you, but when they are coming, they offer them a chair or offer them something, a place in the prasadam hall, which is a big thing, right? So you should be ready to offer them service. And if you are an elderly person, remember there are people elder to you. Okay, protector of all beings as a leader, you're protecting them. What are we supposed to be protecting people from? Protecting ourselves and others from falling back into Maya. It's a big quality of a leader. Never let go of anyone. In fact, our temple president, his grace Anukul Keshav Prabhu, always says that, "Arey, ek devotee bhi jana nahi chahiye. If they are doing the service, or bad, or offensive, whatever it is, I will not ask them to leave." And that's a big quality. It's not easy. Because you let them go, their KC is badly affected. They may lose devotee association, they may stop coming to temple, they may not get the mercy of Jagannath, they are not getting prasadam. Suddenly they will fall back into Maya. Never let go of anyone. And it is again one of those serious things that you need to take to heart. And this includes our own parents, our own spouse, our own children. They are not following Krishna consciousness. Give them whatever little possible, but don't let them go away. You need to be their protector. If you have got the responsibility, or especially our children, as they grow up, they may not listen to us. So we should protect them at whatever extent that is possible to us. Okay, respectful to everyone. I don't need to elaborate. Respectful to everyone and kind to the suffering. Okay, always give respect to others. I mean, again, amanina manadena, right? So give respect, don't expect anything else back. So respect is that kind of quality, and you're kind to everyone. Dina vatsalaha is that quality. We just finished one shloka, but there's so much in that shloka. Treating other women as his own mother. Don't need to elaborate. Affectionate to his wife as if she were half his body. Very important quality. Treat your wife, treat your spouse equally, treat them with full respect. There's no gender diversity in Krishna consciousness. We have been hearing that Matajis play their role, Prabhujis they play their role. So be always respectful, affectionate like a father to the citizens, and servant of the devotees who preach the Lord's glories. Kinkaro Brahma Vadinam. Kinkara is basically a servant. Okay, we always say dasa, dasa, anudasa. Right, so we are supposed to be that anudasa, best of the lowest of devotees. So we should always serve other devotees who are serving the lotus feet of the Lord or lotus feet of their Guru. Consider all beings as himself. That means you don't, you treat others the way you want to be treated. Increasing joy for his friends. Intimately associating with liberated persons. Okay, this is a Mukta Sangha Prasangoyam. So you are happy associating with others, Prasanga. Others, Sangha and Prasanga, right? You're very happy. And so your association becomes very intimate. And it's with liberated persons. Understand there is something called taking association and something called giving association. You give association for others to progress. You take association for your own progression. And it both has to happen. At no point in time we become so senior that we don't need a senior devotee association. I'm the senior most in the temple. Then take association outside. But you need association. Punisher of the wicked. We already saw about how the ruler is supposed to punish other people. He is the Lord Shakti Avesh Avatar, master of the three worlds. He is changeless and seeing all material varieties as meaningless because their basic principle is nescience or darkness. So we have discussed, right? So he is the Lord Shakti Avesh Avatar. And because he is the Lord Avatar, he is obviously the master of the three worlds. And as the Lord is not changeable, so is his incarnation. And everything material is actually meaningless in the sense that they can only be used in service of the Lord. They cannot be used for sense gratification. So the basic principle is this material world is Maya, Maya and the Kar. Right? The basic principle is material world is essence or darkness. Okay. Now, between 20 and 27, we'll actually see predictions of Prithu Maharaj future activities. We have less than 10 minutes, so we can use this itself. So he will actually travel all around on his victorious chariot. Okay, he carries a bow on the chariot, carries a bow, travels around his chariot, exactly like the sun. He goes everywhere. He cleans up. When the sun comes, everything becomes bright, right? So your darkness goes away. Yeah, sun can, evaporate the smell. It can, anything that is wrong, it can clean it up. Similarly, the king, Prithu Maharaj in this case, is actually doing it. And all the demigods and their wives actually glorify him, considering him the original king who carries in his hand the emblem of club and the disc. Basically, the Gada and the Chakra are here mentioning that he is setting up the kingdom, the rule, right? So he is doing that. The next set of shlokas actually describe the glorifications of Prithu Maharaj by these um, wives of the demigods. He will milk the earth. These are future predictions. The next chapter is about this. Being an extraordinary king, Adi Raja, equal to Prajapati, he will milk the earth as a cow for the living facility of all citizens. He will level the surface of the earth with his bow, breaking all the hills like Indra. Like Indra uses his thunderbolt, right? So he uses his weapon to actually break off the hills. He actually, Prithu Maharaj will use his bow and make the earth flat. You will see these things in the next chapter, okay? So that people can travel across, and then he will actually milk the earth for fulfilling people. Obviously, he is terrifying to the thieves. All demoniac rogues and thieves will hide themselves when the lion like Prithu Maharaj travels over his kingdom, vibrating the sting of his bow. Just the sound. Okay, like we saw earlier, right? So the Gada and the Chakra, the thieves are taken care of. Okay, he will perform 100 Ashwamedha sacrifices, and Indra will steal the sacrificial horse in the 100th sacrifice. This is a wonderful pastime. Wonderful pastime. Remember this statement. You will hear it when this pastime is being discussed. 99 is greater than 100. Not mathematically, shastrically. 99 greater than 100. It's a wonderful pastime. When this is being discussed in Prithu Maharaj's story, you will hear about it. There was elaborate, if someone has done their Bhakti Vaibhav, they would have discussed this very, very nicely, elaborately. So wait for it. There's a nice pastime that will come up next chapter. And he will meet the Kumaras, the Sanat Kumara, in fact. Worship him with devotion. We will also learn about how even though he is an incarnation of the Lord, how he treats the uh, the sages, right? Sanat Kumaras, like how Krishna treated Narad Muni when he visited Dwarka. So we will talk about that as well. So that is also going to come, how you should respect the seniors, irrespective of your position, because the Lord lives by that example, and he has wide spread fame. Thus, King Prithu will always hear about himself and his unique, powerful activities wherever he goes. People keep appreciating. So, what happens is people know about him everywhere. It's not that I'm what do they call it? I'm the most famous person in my community. No, he's widespread everywhere. And finally, glorification of system stuck. Okay. Glorification by everyone. With unchecked power, he will conquer the world and eradicate the threefold mysteries of the citizens. Both the Suras and Asuras will glorify him. He has unchecked power, right? So that was the last shloka. So we'll actually, we have come to an end. We have about 4 5 minutes left. I think 5 minutes left. So he has enough power where people are actually glorifying him. That's what was there about these sages glorifying Prithu Maharaj, talking about his qualities that are matching to the demigods, his other extended qualities, and finally the predictions that are going to come in the future because they have heard it already from authorized people, Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. So that's what was there in today's chapter. In the coming chapter, we'll actually see these activities of King Prithu. You will actually start with Mother Earth, who was supposedly very tolerant. But what happens? Why is there a clash? He wants to actually kill Mother Earth. He chastises, in fact, chases her with his sword in the hand. Why does he do it? We will actually hear it in the next class. Okay. So I'll stop here. If there are any questions, any comments, anyone wants to add to any of the points, please feel free. Okay, I'm done. So anyone wants to unmute themselves or put in any comment, please feel free.
Prabhuji,
Okay.
that was a wonderful class, and while taking the class, you also guided us as to how we should follow our guru and shastras, and stay put in bhakti. So thank you for those wonderful tips
Thank you
and
so
guidance. Thank you very much. Ever grateful, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Thanks for the nice words. Okay. Thank you all for joining in today. Uh, okay, there's a question or a comment. One thing about even if over offensive, Swati Mataji, okay, but should be allowed to do KC, etc. So people, so much people will not be corrected. Will they be encouraged to be offensive then? Isn't it bad example as or devotees or temple? I don't. Okay. If I'm understanding right, Mataji, you're saying that if someone is offensive, but we don't let them go away from the temple, like I gave the example, saying that not even a person should be lost. Does it mean that we are allowing them to be offensive and continuing Krishna consciousness? We don't want to lose them, right? So that was the statement. It's not about they being offensive or not offensive. If they are offensive, then they need to be corrected through the right channel, through the right authorities. If you're in an authoritative position, you need to correct them, not chase them away. Correct? You have heard this example from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura, wherein there was a devotee who was not doing very nicely, and people in the temple actually asked him to leave. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura came and he said, "Hey, where is that boy? I don't see him." And they said that actually, oh, he was not doing very nicely, so he asked him to leave. It takes tons of blood to make a devotee. You go and bring him right now. So like that, even if they are not doing nicely, if they are being offensive, if they're being offensive to us, tolerate, get away from that place. Don't continue to associate with that person. That's perfectly all right. If they're being offensive, otherwise of they're doing things that are not tolerable, go through the right channel, complain about that person, tell authorities that you need that to be fixed. But but don't let them go away from place. Yes, they may fit in somewhere else. That's why the authorities will take a call, right? So when you are an authority, you will have an authority on top of you who will actually guide you. That's the right way to understand. And if you have a personal example wherein you feel that someone is very offensive to you, or this person is not the right kind of person, then go talk to the temple authorities. They will actually give you the right guidance. Yes, Sumantra Mataji, you have
Yes.
your hand.
Yes, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanvat Pranam. In the very early days, Charu Maharaj, when he had just joined the movement, for some reason he left the movement, and Guru Maharaj came to know about it.
Yes.
He went personally to Delhi, brought him back, trained him, and that young lad became one of the most, he became a Maharaj.
Most
So
powerful preachers, yeah.
so you could never tell anybody, like, when he could turn. He couldn't become Tulsi. Anybody could. So as far as possible, if you don't get along with them, just wish him and move away. But however, we all have our defects, Prabhu. So I think, this is...
Well, no, Mataji, wonderful point. Exactly. Yeah, we don't know what is the quality in that other person that might be good for us, or good for the moment, good for his own Krishna consciousness. So don't let them get away. It's very sad if someone actually lives the moment. Very, very unfortunate. And if we are the reason, we should be very careful. I think I'll give my personal example. I know we are over time. One of few years back, I was giving a class in our Bhakti Sadhan Kudlu, and it was around Shivratri. So was talking about glories of Lord Shiva, and through that conversation, I actually mentioned that ultimately Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And there was a new person who had come to the temple, and they had stopped coming. And I did not know. I had just come back. And a couple of weeks later, Her Grace Pransaki Mataji, who was one of the temple center coordinators there, she called me and said, Prabhu, this person felt very bad that you actually told about Lord Shiva like this, because she is a big devotee of Lord Shiva. What they said was coming from the Shastras. But again, she spoke to that person. I had to call that person. We had to ensure that that person doesn't carry a wrong impression of ISKCON or Krishna consciousness, because there was something that was spoken by someone as junior as me. So we had spoken. I saw how Pransaki Mataji ensured this person did not leave the moment. And similar to what Sumantra Mataji said, that person eventually grew up to become a nice devotee, get initiated. Now that person is giving classes, Bhakti Shastri classes, or Bhakti Vriksha classes, making devotees, right? So you never know what could be those wonderful quality, because of which this person will do a lot better than us in Krishna consciousness. So if they're offensive to you, stay away from them and complain to the right channel. Don't take offense, because you might be affecting others as well, and others may not be as matured as us, and they may leave. So it's always better you inform the right authorities. Thank you, Sumantra Mataji. Anyone else? Any other comment? Otherwise, we are over time already.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I liked one point where you said that when you saw a devotee sleeping in the temple, that means you should not jump into conclusions for anybody until and unless you know what exactly is his position. I think as human beings, we keep jumping into conclusion when we see something. This is the biggest defect of us. So first we should come to know the reality about the situation and then comment. Or rather, don't come and try to rectify him in a humble way.
Yes, Mataji. Very nice point. Never judge others. We all have our defects. Thank you, Mataji. Okay, thank you. Thank you all. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you for patiently listening. So
thank you very much. Sorry. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Dhanvat pranams to you. Hare Krishna devotees, thank you very much for joining. See you tomorrow in the next class. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna
Thank you,
Prabhuji,
Prabhuji.
Dhanvat Pranam to
Thank you
everybody
very much.
assembled.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna
Thank you,
Prabhuji, thank
Prabhuji.
you very much. Dandavat pranam.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Dhanvat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare
Thank you very
Krishna
much.
Prabhuji. Dhanvat Pranam.